Hello, welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. If you do like the programming you see here and the musicians and artists that I visit with, please be sure and hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. John Sims is an English guitarist, vocalist, and songwriter who was a founding member of heavy prog rock band Clear Blue Sky. The band was signed to the Vertigo label and released one album in 1970. But that wouldn't be the end of releases or activity for the band. Due to a renewed interest in the band, the album Destiny was released in 1990, a collection of demos and outtakes. Then in 2017, Cherry Red imprint Esoteric reissued and remastered the original album on CD. And in recent years, there have been 5 more albums. One, Out of the Blue, was a collection of early recordings, some prior to the first album. Over the years, tracks have also found their way onto several various artists' compilations. John has also spent time in the bands Tangerine Peel, Separate Energy, the Ginger Baker Band, Karizma, and worked with Bernie Torme, Census of Hallucinations, and he's formed his own band, Light Trails. Well, welcome, John.
Welcome.
Thank you for being here and enduring the heat.
Yeah, it's a strong day.
Well, take us back. Where were you born?
I was born in West London, in Acton, Park Royal, actually.
Okay.
Park Royal, Acton.
All right. Do you recall your early childhood growing up? As far as was there music in the household?
Oh yeah. I mean, in them days, my father, he was mad on music. He used to have lots of radiograms and stuff, the 78s and all that stuff.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
And I was just fascinated by it. And he'd play every day. We had music in the house all the time.
Yes.
And when I heard the guitar a little bit later, it was just like a magnet to me.
Yes.
It's still to this day, I just love it. It's just something I've always wanted to do.
You were hooked after you heard that. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, I remember
a long time, but I never get tired of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I remember my dad had his hi-fi and, like you said, those 78s.
Yeah.
And how they could stack, several on top. And then one would play, it would drop down and play like that. Yeah, I remember that. Well, was your mom musically inclined at all, or just your dad was really into music?
My mum always liked music, but it was my dad really. He was always fiddling around with radiograms and getting a different speakers and all this, toying around with them,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he was great at it, but it was a learning curve, and he built me a little speaker thing, and he got my first little amp. I've still got it. It's a tiny little amp, an El Pico, it's a valve amp, and he got me that when I was very young.
Yeah.
And he got me my first electric guitar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's when it really took off.
Really? Does that can you still get that amp to work? Does it
it still works.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
It still works, yeah.
Great.
And it only went wrong once, and I put a new valve in it.
Yeah. And then it still works. Wow, that's a tribute to the quality, I think, there, Well, can you recall one of the first singles or albums that you bought, that you got yourself?
Oh, I bought loads of records. I've still got quite a big record collection. Going back in them days, there was like on the TV, and there was people like the skiffle stuff and that, like Joe Brown. Joe Brown and Joe Brown.
Lonnie Donegan. Yeah.
Lonnie Donegan. Yeah, all those guys were, skiffle bands.
Yeah.
And then I started getting into blues.
Okay.
And that was really something else. And this guy, he was older than us. He used to live just around the corner, and he was a very hip kind of guy. He had long hair. Most people didn't have long hair, And he had this scooter which he cut about. It was like a chopped scooter, But he was in a band, a blues band, and he was an incredible harmonica player. And I knew him, and started, we started not hanging around, but we couldn't miss each other because we was in the same mode, more or less. And he said, "Oh, come down to rehearsal, and come and see us, So me and Ken, the drummer, the original, because me and Ken were like schoolboys, we went to the same schools.
Yeah,
yeah, we went down there, and I was fascinated with what they were doing. And he learned me a few things. The guitarist, he said, "Oh, because I hadn't heard Howlin' Wolf at that time."
Oh, okay.
And when he started playing Smokestack Lightning, I thought, wow, this is weird. The time is a bit different. It's not like your normal kind of thing. And yeah, it was great. And he said, "I'll show you." And he started working out, and he said, "Have a go." And I could do it. I could play it, And then after that, I just got more and more. I learned more about blues and the blues artists, And I used to get a lot of people coming over. I saw Howlin' Wolf.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, okay. I see a lot of those blues because in them days they used to put them on at like Acton Town Hall and places like that, little places. They used to come over. Yeah, so I got to see quite a few of them at the Marquee as well. I see a lot of artists there. I see John Mayall lots of times, and
yes,
Peter Green. I see Peter Green with John Mayall.
Oh,
we were very lucky.
You just hit on Peter Green, one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah. To see all those people, and you could feel like in a kind of small venue.
Right.
Sitting there, like you can actually.
Exactly right there. Yeah, that early Fleetwood Mac too is just.
Yeah. I've seen it quite a few times. But I actually saw the one I saw was in Ealing. I saw John Mayall. That was just after Eric Clapton had gone.
Okay.
And it was in a pub called the Feathers in Ealing.
Yeah.
And Peter Green with John Mayall was just it was something else, Yeah. But you could see so many great bands. You could go. There were so many venues, so many small venues.
That's what I say is when I talk to you guys across the pond, is I'm very envious because you had shows about every night. You go
out any night, and there's so many venues, and and there's a place where we used to go to. It was in Southall, which is not far from Exeter's bus ride, and they had everyone you could ever think. These two guys run it. It was a small, very tiny little. It was at the back of a pub. It was a small venue. I mean, tiny. And believe it or not, we see Led Zeppelin in it. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
We saw everyone there. We see Argent, we saw Led Zeppelin, we saw Jethro Tull, loads of people, all the top Genesis, all these big bands. In this little place, it was a great venue. It's brilliant. These two guys who run it, they really know their stuff. They used to queue up, used to queue up and get in. You always got in. It's fine.
Wow. Did you happen to see my interview with Russ Ballard?
Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah. And he talked about those old days, with Argent.
Well, we see Argent in that venue.
Yes.
And they just got some new amplification. They had these Jennings amps. And I'd never seen them, but I knew there was something to do with Vox anyway.
Okay.
Vox amps. But Argent were incredible live.
Oh yeah.
Russ Ballard, he was brilliant. He still is.
He still is going strong. Yeah. Yeah. Well, have you seen has it come over there yet on Netflix or Amazon? The Zeppelin documentary, Led Zeppelin.
No, I haven't. I know about it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay.
No, but I'm going to get to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I thought it was going to take them through the 70s, but it goes up to like the second album, I believe. So I was like wanting more, but there's a lot of history.
Yeah, I got to see them 3 times. First time I saw them was their first gig at the Marquee when I was in New Yardbirds.
Yes.
And that was just blew the roof off,
Yes.
And then I saw them Earl's Court. I see that, and that every time they were just brilliant, They're just fantastic band,
Yes, I've heard those stories.
Yeah.
Well,
there's so many great bands though around.
Yeah.
So many. Really good.
During that time period, you're right. Well, what were some other early musical influences for you?
Well, original English bands, as I say, I grew up with the blues and that, and I used to like Hank Marvin, and I still like him.
Ah, his Shadows, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was doing something which I'd never seen before, you know, with
Yeah.
the tremolo arm and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
And there was a band, I think they were Swedish or something, called the Spotniks.
Yes, yes, you're right. Yes,
They
they
used to wear
are.
them space helmet things.
Yes.
But I used to love the sound of the guitar, with you know, with the echo and all that they had on it. It was just, oh, what's this? You know, I remember, I've still got the single somewhere. I think I'll
Yeah.
put it on.
Yeah.
And I've got the sheet music of it as well. You know, I can't read music, but I bought it anyway. But you know, because it's got the picture on it. I've had it for years. You know.
Yes.
But, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was Hank Marvin. I liked all that period. I liked all the underground kind of bands of that time. Not probably another band I did like was I like the Misunderstood.
Oh, yes, yes. With
Yeah,
I talked to Rick Brown. Yeah, he was in the Misunderstood.
well, I know that Glenn Fernando Campbell, wasn't he? He was a slide.
Right.
Yeah, I saw them at that little club as well.
Yes.
And they were brilliant. And they had the drum from Van der Graaf's Generator.
Yes.
He was
Yes.
in the band.
Right.
Yeah, well, most of those bands, you know, we not toured them, but it
Right.
was on the circuit. And they was, because all those kind of bands, all the gigs were all spread out all around up north, all over the shop. There was so many. And we used to get in, we had our van, you know, which we had enough to fit us in, and the equipment at the back. And
Yeah.
most of the time it was all going up the motorway up north. There was a lot of clubs up there. Used to pull in on the motorway. It was a service place there, you know, we could get food, and it's called the Blue Boar.
Yeah.
And you got to know who was in there because you got to know their bands.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the vans, because mostly transit vans, and they had their blacked out windows and the big padlocks on the back.
Yeah. Did your equipment survive the trips?
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, we had these pretty well prepared, you know, after all the gigs we'd done, and
Okay.
and you go in there, and one day we went in there, we was having a coffee with Alan Freeman, the disc jockey.
Yeah.
And you see lots of bands in like Free.
Oh,
you know, they were just on the way to their gigs up north, and like we were. Yeah, it was a fascinating time. Honestly, it was just incredible. You know, it's fun as well. Good fun.
Right. Sad to hear of Mick Rowell's passing.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah.
Yes.
That was just the other day, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Wow.
Yeah.
And then Brian Wilson a little bit before that. So
yeah.
Genius.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many going, you know.
Yes, not many like him. Well, was your first band Jug Blues?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more or less. Yeah. Okay. It was. I mean, because me and Ken, drummer, as I say, we were very, very close friends, and we used to practice together. I mean, just me and him originally until we got a bass player, you know. And Mark Schieffer, he was in the same school as us as well.
Okay.
And he was very. He stopped playing after we'd done the first album. He decided to get married and he quit. But he was a really good musician, and it was a shame, really. But yeah. So anyway, we formed Jug. We was doing blues stuff. But prior to Mark with Jug, we had a guy called Dick Wald. He was at the school as well. We had him for a while, and we'd done lots of gigs. We played the Marquee. We done the Marquee talent competition thing they had there with all different bands. We won that. We won that outright actually. But and then we done lots of little gigs. And it was like let's play up the road there. You know, it's so and so pub. You know, let's go and you just go in there and say, can we have a gig? And they, it was word of mouth, really. It's word of mouth. Yeah, you know, that's how it was in those days. It was. It was
sometimes
like
that's sometimes
if they liked you, you get booked back. You know, we always got booked back.
Right. Well, you mentioned the Marquee. That was the place to get a residency back then. Yeah. If you were on there, then you were doing pretty well. Yeah,
we played there a few times. We played there with Big Brother and the Holding Company.
Okay.
We played with them. We played with Country Joe and the Fish. And we plus other bands we were on with as well. But they were the big ones at the marquee we played with,
Well,
But,
you guys were very young,
yeah, we were. Yeah.
Starting out like that. Well,
We used to bunk off school, and go and go on, let's
right.
try and work this track out,
Well, then came, let me see if I pronounce this right. Matuse?
Yes, Machusi. Well,
Matuse.
Machusi it was called. It was after a wine, It was named after a wine.
Okay, I've heard of that.
And we had a band called. We changed the name from X. It was X. And we changed that to Machusi. We done the marquee as that name as well. But we just thought, this is not really us really. So we started getting more into writing our own stuff, and that's how it kind of went on from then.
Yeah.
And I've always done that. I've always written my own stuff. I've always I did do some kind of gigs with other people, playing cover stuff and that. Because we've done a lot of cover stuff of the old soul stuff.
Yeah.
And funked it up a little bit or rocked it up a little bit. And it was good fun, but I always wanted to do something original, and that's when it all kicked off, I think,
Yeah, your original, show your songwriting talents doing that. Well, around this time, I guess Donovan's manager Ashley Kozak took an interest in the band.
Yeah, Ashley did. Yeah, we've done quite a few recordings with him. Actually, we've done some in Marquee Studios. They're the studio, and we've done some recording there. But the problem was Ashley was more into the more commercial stuff, pop stuff and all that, which was, it was okay. But I wasn't really into doing that. I was young, and I was more into the heavier side of things and guitar kind of stuff. And spent quite a bit of time, with meetings, and done a few gigs, and he used to come and stuff like that. And he was going to manage. He asked me to join another band. I can't think of their name now, but I just didn't really want to do all that. I just wanted to do my own stuff. And he wanted to take me on. Didn't want the rest of the band.
Oh, just you?
He said, no, I don't want Ken. I don't want him. He just wanted me. And I said, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Just go through their school friends and.
Right.
And I didn't really want to do pop stuff, I mean, maybe I should have done, but I'm still not really into that anyway.
Not really into that. No.
I like doing original stuff,
Well, but stick to your guns. That's what you got to do,
Yeah, I think so. I don't really regret it at all. I just like to do what I do, and always will do. I think,
Well, the other members mention who was in the original Clear Blue Sky, who was in the band.
Yes, Mark was still in it, and Ken, yeah. But we had a little break after that. It was getting a bit too much. We was doing a lot of gigs, and money was tight, and we just had a little break. We thought, let's just have a break from this. We'd done a few things what we wanted to do, and then we kind of got back. He used to go out gigging as well and doing stuff like that, But yeah, sometimes it got a little bit too much. I mean, because there was sometimes you go and play with bands, there'd not be 3 or 4 bands on the same gig. There's small venues in England, and a lot of shifting gear about and getting to places and all this and lifting gear and stuff. Which is that's a little break.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one place in Liverpool we played, and the other band they had to take the gear up the back of this fire escape, big metal stairs up to the top floor, and the roadies are trying to take up a Hammond organ.
Oh man!
And I mean, I can't say what the language they were saying because I mean that's what it was. It was all big amps. It ain't like today. You can use smaller amps and stuff like that. Through the PA. I mean, mostly it was all big cabinets and Marshall stacks and
Didn't think ahead about having to take those up the fire escape like that. Wow, yeah. Or get them get them lodged in the stairwell or things like that.
Oh, yeah, some of the places used to play.
Well, were all of you guys pretty much into the same kind of music? You have similar taste?
Yeah, well, yeah, me and Ken were, me and Ken were very much in it. Mark was a bit, I don't really know with Mark. He was a bit elusive what he liked. He didn't seem to he just seemed to go along with the flow. He just seemed to, we said, right, we're rehearsing. I've got these songs. We're going to do this, and then he go, okay, and we just work it out and do it. But he was very quiet type of guy, very placid, lovely guy.
Well, that's nice to have a guy like that in the band, too.
Yeah, it was a shame that he left us so early, But
that is.
It was good. It was good to work with him,
Let me ask you, some of the early shows that you played were and the other names that were on the bill.
Yeah. Oh well, there was some. Well, we played one place. We played, and there was Graham Bond.
Oh.
There was Gentle Giant.
Oh, I love Gentle Giant.
East of Eden, John Eisman.
Yeah.
We played twice, I think, with three.
Yeah.
Two or three. As I say, the ones we've done were Big Warhorse we played with, and there was a Vertigo thing we'd done with a few of the other bands from Vertigo on the label.
Okay.
It was just tons of it. It was just we've done loads of gigs with Man. Don't you know Man, do you?
Oh yeah, the Welsh band, yes.
Yeah, they're really good. And most of the time we used to go on a gig and he's on because there might be two or three bands on the same bill, So it's Man. I said, again, Man again. They're nice. They're really good guys. They're really nice guys.
Yes.
It was just tons and tons. I mean, there was lots of others. I can't remember them all, but can't think of. Say John Eisner's Colosseum, Paladin. Paladin?
Oh yes, I do. That's another one. Yes. I like a lot of that era of the progressive rock. And
some fantastic bands.
Yes, and I think didn't Roger Dean do one of their covers too? I think
he done two. I think
two of them.
Yeah, they done Charge, and I can't think the other one is, but both good albums. I've still got those. They're really good. They were a great band, because the keyboard player, I think it's Pete Solly. We saw him with Arthur Brown at the Marquee.
Oh,
we done that was another one. We done a gig with Arthur Brown, and that was at the time when
that must have been wild. Yeah,
he had a row with his drummer.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, and the drummer walked out on the gig, and so Ken offered to play drums to sit in, but he said, no, I'll do it without the drummer. He's a lovely guy, Arthur. He was really lovely. Yeah, so they done the gig, and then about a week later, or something like that, or a couple of weeks later, it's in the Melody Maker that he's not having a drummer. He's going to have this Bentley Rhythm Box drum machine thing, and that's when he formed. I think it was Kingdom Come or one of those bands he had.
Yeah, I think
he didn't have a drummer, but we saw them, and they were brilliant. He had this. He had Andy Dolby on guitar. He was good. They were great. He's always good, Arthur Brown.
Right. That must have been one of the earliest drum machines too.
Yeah. I think it was a Bentley Rhythm Ace or something like that. I'm not perfectly sure, but it's something.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And he used to come on and he'd do his flashing lights, and he'd be doing all these movements with the lights.
Yeah.
He was great.
And with the makeup and everything.
Yeah. And he's dancing. But he's got a great voice. He's brilliant.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
I love Arthur Brown. It's fantastic.
Yes, he does. Well, how did Patrick Campbell Lyons, who was in the '60s pop rock band Nirvana, how did he become interested in the band?
Well, we used to rehearse in a school. It was a youth club in Acton, and it was really good. They used to let us have this whole room upstairs, and we used to cut there and rehearse. We could do it like 3 or 4 times a week. And I think it was one of the guys, Mark's elder brother, Mark Sheaford, the bass player, his elder brother, and a guy called John King, which is his friend. mentioned he should come and see this band. So, because he knew Pat Lyons, and anyway, Pat come down, and he came in, and he stayed there right through to the set we'd done. And after that, he had a chat with him, and he said, "I really like what you're doing." And he said, "But," he said, "I'm going to come back in a couple of months because I want to see what you're doing then." And he did. He came back, and we was all doing new material, which was the stuff for the first album. And we was really tight because we'd done a lot of gigs. The band was very tight. And he came down and he said, I'm gonna get you signed to Vertigo." And I thought, yeah. Okay. Well,
at that time, right? Yeah.
Anyway, about a couple of months later, he said, "What? There's two guys coming down from Phonogram, I think it was, to see you, you know." And they did. They came down. I don't know their names, but they came down. They had suits on and we played the set, and then they said, "Okay, we're signing you." And I thought, really, is this happening? You know, this can't be right.
Right.
You know, because I mean, you know, Black Sabbath, Vertigo, you know, all these other bands. So anyway, it happened, and
because you hear about so many other bands that, you know, had to like bang on door after door after door, you know, and some of them never ended up even getting a contract, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that myself. You know, when I used to send demos and things off, and used to get these things saying, "No, it's not suitable. It's not what we like." You know, I think every band goes through that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was unbelievable. And there was a guy I used to know, and he was a musician from Chiswick, and he said he was going to get signed as well to his band. I've never seen them, but anyway, they didn't get signed.
They didn't get signed.
No, they didn't. And I thought, well, you know what? I hope this ain't going to happen to us. But it didn't. We got signed.
You did get signed. Yeah. Speaking of, I just wanted a personal story of Nirvana. I was because I like to dig a little deeper, you know, and I get a lot of these compilations. Well, you see, I'm talking to you, you know, and a lot of these bands that kind of flew under the radar. I like to say, you know, they weren't real hugely popular, you know, but I like to, you know, discover and kind of research, you know, find out a little bit more about them. And I liked what I heard from Nirvana. So I was at a record store. This is a few years ago, and I had it. You know, I was up there paying for it along with others. And the guy looked at it and he goes, "Now you realize this is not the American Nirvana." Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, I realize that. I mean, you know, if you just knew my taste in music, you would know that, you know, why I'm picking this up." So
well, the other guy in Nirvana, Alex.
Yeah. Yes.
He was a very nice guy. He was very talented musician as well. You know, they've done some good stuff. I mean, something like Rainbow Chaser and all that stuff. Pentecost.
Oh, they did. Yeah. And Alex is of Greek origin, right?
Greek, yeah, it's Greek, yeah. And he used to live in Eden as well. And again, we used to go. He lived on the top flat. And we went up there once, and I thought, nah, he's got a Hammond organ up there as well. I thought, how did he get that up there? You know. Yeah, he's a nice guy. You know, Alex, I liked him. Yeah. So that was basically the story of that, and then that was right after the album. When the album was finished, I was going to call it "Play It Loud."
Yes.
And it was, you know, the band Slade.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Well, they were called Ambrose Slade then.
Yeah.
They was doing more progressive stuff, and they had an album coming out, and that was called "Play It Loud." So they decided to change the name, you know. So, and also the cover was changed as well, because he had a picture of a baby of our album, you know. And then we had a meeting with Pat, and he said, "This is going to be the cover." And when I saw it, I thought, wow, it's just up my street, which is Roger Dean.
Roger Dean, right.
I hadn't heard of Roger Dean, but when I saw it, I thought, wow.
That was one of his earliest. Yeah. He did that.
He done some great covers. I mean, I love the one he done with Ozzy Bisa, you know.
Oh, right. He has done a whole lot.
And Paladin, all those ones, you know, Gervit's Army and all that. He done some great
yes, exactly.
Fantastic
Yeah.
Thanks, you know.
Yeah, he
Yes,
really,
all the Yes's stuff he done, you know.
right. Well, do you recall the recording sessions for the album?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember that very clearly, yeah. We got we had to go and record at Island Studios in
Oh, got-
West
nice.
London, Portobello Road,
Yeah.
Basing Street, I think it was.
Wow.
And
Nice.
that was like at that time, well, that was only 8-track. It was like a bit of state of the art at the time, but yeah, it was. I mean, I've done recording before. You know, when we've done lots of other demos and stuff like that. But we went in. This was a really beautiful studio, and as soon as we got into the reception, this guy came up to us and said, "Oh, how you going, lads?" You know, we're shaking hands. I didn't know he was, but Pat said, "That's Chris Wood out of Traffic." I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah."
Oh, yeah.
And so I said, "Oh, right." You know, so anyway, we went in the studio and we started. Right, we're going to do this. We worked out all the songs that Pat wanted, but we've done other stuff since then, newer stuff, and I didn't really want to do a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, it was difficult because Pat was in charge, and you know, he said, "No, we've got to do this, we've got to do that." And I said, "Okay," you know. So we done it, and but the first part of it, he made me do the backing, you know, the guitar. We done the. It was more or less like playing live, you know, and we just played in the studio. But he made me do the vocals afterwards,
Oh, after.
and
Okay.
it didn't quite work. And he said, "It's something missing." He said, "I think it's because you're a three-piece and you're used to playing and singing, you know, with the whole band together." So we done the guitar and the vocals again, and it clicked. It worked. He was right. He was actually right. So we done that, and we brought in what's his name? I can't think of his name now. The guy from I know it. I can't think of his name. The guy from I used to go to school with him.
That's okay.
Jade Warrior.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he was a guy from Jade Warrior. He came in and played the flute on one of the tracks.
Yeah.
And we had a guy on piano. I didn't know who he was, but he came in and done one of the tracks, a little bit of it, piano playing with one of Pat's friends. He said he was something to do with Tom Jones or something. Played with him or something. I don't know, but yeah, we had those. And it was and eventually it was. The only thing I didn't like, it was rushed.
Okay.
Very rushed. We'd done the whole album.
Right.
12 hours.
How long did it take? How long was
12 hours, less than a day.
Okay.
Because they're mostly done first takes. And I wasn't too happy with the production. You know, the engineer, Roger Beale, he was brilliant. And you know, we had a good relationship with him, because he was saying that, "Why don't you try this and that," you know, on the guitar, and he got some nice effects what I wanted, and it was going the right way. And but I wanted to put more stuff on it. I wanted the production to be more deeper. I wanted more vocals on it, backing, but I wanted more reverb and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
But
Layer it. Yeah, layer it a little bit.
Yeah, it turned out that Pat wanted to get it done quick.
Okay.
Because he was using our studio time.
Oh, right.
Because he wanted to do some stuff on his own.
That's always a factor. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it could have been so much better. You know, if I was never very happy with it, to be honest with you. But I can't complain, because it's after all these years, it's still getting.
I was going to say it struck a chord with a lot of fans, a lot of people out there. You know, well, I wanted to mention a few tracks that I enjoy. Maybe get your feedback on. Some great guitar work on the lead off on Sweet Leaf. I really like that. The guitar. Yeah. And then I like the guitar groove on the Rocket Ride. I like that.
Oh yeah. Well, the Rocket Ride again. That the album. A lot of people call some people call the album Rocket Ride. Journey. Some people call it Journey.
Yeah.
The actual rocket was was the pub in Acton where we used to drink every night.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, so we always say, well, okay, after rehearsal, we'll see you at the Rocket, you know. So we used to get, and funny we say we had a reunion last year with all the guys, all our ex-managers and roadies, and
did you? Okay.
and it was a fantastic time. We just went, we all come from different parts of England, and we all met at the Rocket. It's still there, you know. Some of the, you know,
how many years had it been since you'd seen most of those guys?
Oh,
long time, huh?
Long time, yeah. Although I have spoken to some of them, you know, by phone or internet, you know, but not actually seen them, because everyone moves on to get married, their kids, and some of them move out of England, you know, things like that, you know.
Right. Well, life happens, right? Life happens.
Yeah.
It does. Well, and then one more track I wanted to mention, "Tool of My Trade."
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorites on the
really?
album. Yeah, I like the more mellow guitar on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. There was some other songs we had which you know, we wanted to do, but we never got time to. He wouldn't let us put them ones on, you know. But we did. Ken came over, because Ken, our drummer, the original drummer, he lives in Tasmania now.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, and he came over about 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And Krasny, which is he's the bass player who took over from. We had Andrew Chard on bass, and then we had Krasny, which is I named him Krasny. His real name's Martin, but I don't know why. I just thought he looked like a Krasny, so we're all a bit mad, you know. I think so. Krasny, yeah, he fitted in. He became a good friend, and he was in and out of the band for a lot of years, and he was right up until all the last albums we've done. He used to work as well for the Rolling Stones Mobile.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, and he used to work at Morgan Studios.
Oh.
And he'd done a lot of the engineering, I think, for Black Sabbath and quite a few other bands.
Okay.
With Martin Levan, is it? He's got Red Kite Studios. Yeah, he was a great bass player, and he's a real kind of technical wizard as well, you know.
Yeah.
So he was. I still see him. I see him. I still keep in contact regularly all the time with him. You know?
Yeah.
But Ken, he's out there, Tasmania, you know, with the Devils.
Yeah, I was going to say where the Devils are.
But yeah, I speak to Ken as well. You know, we all keep in touch.
It's good that you stayed in touch all this time.
We're all good friends, you know.
Well, you know what I always hear and what I know is like it's a family, you know.
Yeah.
You know, when you're around guys that much, you know. Yeah. You know, so, or a second family, you know.
Yeah.
you know. Well, and then there's one more I want to mention, My Heaven. I really like that one too. I like the rhythm on that one. It's almost like a metronome, you know, like a clock. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the tracks I do like. I do like that. Okay. The others, I suppose. I think it's because I've heard them so many times. You get
right.
You want to move on, you know. So anything when if I record something,
right,
I hear it so many times when you're mixing.
Yeah,
you just get sick of it. You think, oh no.
Right. Do you ever?
I think everyone does that. I think everyone.
Do you ever get tired of playing the same old songs live too? Just go, oh, got to play this one again. Yeah.
Not really, no. Because when we kept the main songs, you know, to the verse, chorus, and the middle sections and that. But when we went into kind of the instrumental sections of it, we used to jam a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Which was great because it would come into different kind of things, and I think jamming is incredible because you come up with so many different ideas, and it's not just me, but you know the drummer or the bass player might something, and you all lock in and you think, wow, you know, that's a good bit. And most of the time we used to record it on a cassette player, the rehearsals, just so that you think, well, you know, that bit we could make a song out of that and.
Right.
Stuff like that, you know. But
I like that.
We love jamming. We love doing it.
I was going to say I like that improvising, playing live, because what's the point of going to see a band live if it sounds exactly like the recording? You know?
Yeah, no, it was never.
Yeah, it wasn't.
exact. The
No,
verses were, and certain parts of it, but then it would change, you know,
right,
and it was much more interesting, you know.
right.
I used to love doing all that. Still do.
Well, well, that's a good sign. Any memories that you did play live to support the album? Any memories from the shows around that time?
Yeah, I remember we played. There was an all-nighter place we played once, and I think the Marmalade. You remember the Marmalade? Remember?
The band, yes, 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 I do.
We played with those, and we went on first, and we went down really well. We
Yeah.
really, and for some reason, when we were backstage, they got the ump. Right? They didn't want to speak to us, and
Is that right?
oh yeah, oh yeah, and that happened. Used to happen quite a lot. We had a lot of things like that, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know what you were doing, and all this used to get a bit funny, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, the competition and things like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of ego in them days, and
Ego.
I never
Ego.
liked all that. Never liked all that at all, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, we played. We was in Holland. We was doing a tour in Holland, and we was playing with Fairport Convention.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
happened twice, right?
Yes.
With Fairport Convention. It was in
Yes.
the same dressing room. So
Yeah.
I think it was Dave Swarbrick. He was drunk, completely drunk, and he said, "You're not using our PA." I said, "Well, how are we going to play if we can't use the PA? You know, we're booked. We're booked for the tour. You know,
Right.
well, you're not using it." So Mark went and saw the guy on the desk, you know, who's doing the PA, and he said we can't use the PA, and the guy said, "I don't care what he says, you're using it." He said it's our PA. He said you're using it.
Right.
And he got really nasty about it. Yeah, he was drunk though.
Okay.
Time.
Oh, maybe that was part
But
of
we
it.
had that as well with Big Brother as well.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Marquee, that was another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
They said no, you're not using that PA.
Well, yeah, and you hear about bands that hijacked, you know, like opening acts and things like that, you know, and they would turn down the sound.
Had that done as well.
Yeah, and things like
Done.
that.
They used to turn the volume down and not give you a good sound, and when the other band they was with, they turn everything up. Yeah, that all went on. That was
That's petty. That kind of stuff. But I guess, you know, it goes.
I'll tell you one band I really loved was the Iron Butterfly. You know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they were so good. You know? I love the Iron Butterfly. You know.
Right, and it got
most of my stuff I really like is mostly American bands. You know.
Okay.
I used to lose. Apart from all the English bands I liked, but most of the stuff I really liked was American stuff. You know.
Wow.
I mean, Frank Zappa and that Beefheart and all those.
Captain Beefheart. I was going to.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, it's the grass is always greener, right? Because I always like music from your side of the pond, you know, and I hear this over and over again. UK musicians, grew up on American music and like American music. So, you know.
Oh yeah, some great American bands. Yeah. Brilliant. You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, what brought the band to an end?
I got to a stage where Ken was in and out of the band. You know, he got married as well, and he had kids, and I was the only one. Martin, he left on and off. He was back and forwards, and I got different musicians in, and basically it was all down to me to keep it going, and it became a lot of hassle.
Yeah,
because some of the musicians you get in, they weren't reliable, and like, as I say, on the Holland tour, you know, the bass player that I used at the time, he wasn't going to do it unless we paid him extra money and all this, and it was really hard to keep it all in perspective. It was very difficult, and I thought, I don't know if I can, and I was doing a lot of the driving as well, you know, and I thought, this is getting too much for me now. I need a break from this. So I did. I said I cancelled some of the gigs, and that was it. I just thought I ain't gonna never stop playing, but I just wanted to have a break. You know?
Yeah, you wanted out of that. Yeah, break.
Well,
how long after did you join Tangerine Peel?
Probably that was just after well, a little bit later than the first album, you know. I had a break from that, and then that was in a place called the Raven. It was a pub in Chiswick, and I know the drummer. His name was Johnny Warwick, and he was in the Tangerine Peel. And at that time, they had Mike Chapman, who was from Nicky, you know,
the songwriting team.
Jack, he's Australian. Okay. He was, and Peter was the manager of Tangerine Peel. Anyway, he decided he was going to move on. So I got poached by Tangerine Peel. Johnny White said, well, why don't you come join the band? And they were nice guys, you know, and they were good musicians. So I thought about it and said, yeah, okay, all right. We started getting together, and we'd done some gigs, and we'd done lots of recordings, done some for the BBC and that. And then Peter, the manager, he said, right, we're going into Delaney Studios. He said, and we're going to do some recording. So he got us to do, you know, that track Aquarius. Remember that?
Yeah, yes, Fifth Dimension.
Yeah. So, and I thought, hang on, where's this going? You know, so we've done that. I've still got the recording somewhere. Anyway, we've done that, and about a month later, he said, we're going back in the studio. We're going to do some Joe Loss numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
Joe Loss.
Joe Loss Consortium. Yeah.
Joe Loss. It was like a
an easy listening kind.
Yeah, and I said, well, what track are you doing there? He said, it's Loddy Low. Hey, Loddy. and I said, no, I can't do that. I really can't. And John said, no.
Yeah.
And I know it was horrible, but I said no. And I just packed my guitar and went. And that was it. I just couldn't do it, honestly. It was not what I was into.
No.
And then I don't know what happened to them after that. They kind of think they went their separate ways. But I did hear, I got a call from Warwick, who was the bass player, and he was living in America, and he contacted me a lot of years afterwards, and he said to me, "Oh, I live in America now, and I do organisations for some musicians, you know, big name musicians. He puts on like not parties, but whatever they do, you know, when they have meetings for record companies and all that, puts it all together." And it was nice to talk to him, you know. And he told me that Jim, the guitarist, he died. Jim Gaynor, he was a great guitarist. He's a lovely guy. Apparently, he died. Yeah, they were nice guys. But then about a year later, I got a message through, I think it was his wife, and he died as well.
Oh, is that right?
Died. Yeah, he was the bass player.
Yeah.
So, you know, after all this time, you don't know what they're doing. You get to hear them, and then like, a little bit later, they're
gone. Then just a little bit, they're gone. Yeah. It's like a blast from the past. And it's gone.
I don't know what happens to John. I haven't seen him in years. I don't know. Like I say, people move on.
Right. Yeah, they do. Get into other activities. Well, Separate Energy, a three-piece.
Yeah.
What was the style of music that you played?
That was more rock and fusion.
Okay.
I got into a lot of fusion-y stuff, like, you know, Manavishnu and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I doing all that. Not to that extent, you know, but that kind of not quite as extendable as what they're doing, you know. But I like fusion stuff, you know. A lot more.
I've talked to different guys, you know, that have said John McLaughlin's name's come up, you know, and like first time they hear his early album, what was it? They said, "Wow, that just changed." I mean, just gobsmacked after hearing that. Yeah.
Oh, they're incredible musicians.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So anyway, there was this guy who lived literally around the corner from me, who I knew, Ian. And this is another sad story, because Ian, he was a lovely guy, incredible bass player. You know, he really was a great bass player. You know, very good at all the slapping stuff, but he was very technical as well. And he used to play in a band called Furniture. They had a big hit at one time, Can't think of the name of it, but it was a hit. It was quite a big hit. They had Furniture, and he left them after a while. He's always saying to me, we should get together. Anyway, we did get together, and there was a guy called Paul Gibbs. He was the drummer who I knew. He used to live in Kingston upon Thames, not Kingston in Jamaica, but he's Kingston, and we used to go to this place called the Three Fishes in Kingston. It's a real happening place.
Okay.
To get a drink, you had to shout. It was so loud in there, with music.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got friends with Paul, and he said, like, let's book a studio and have a play, and we did, and it just clicked. It was so good, and then we started getting some gigs together. We started doing all that, and we used to rehearse in Acorn Studios in Acton, which at the time it was supposed to be Ginger Baker's studio, right? Okay. And Roy was the guy who ran it. Roy was Ginger's manager.
Oh, right.
And Andy Chard, who was in the early Clear Blue Sky at one time. He was working in there, and Ginger was just coming out of Italy. He was living in Italy at the time, and he was setting some gigs up for him. Roy was, and he said, well, he was looking for musicians. So Andy said, you should come and see Separate Energy. So he did. He came down. He really liked what we were doing. And the next thing, I had some tapes, which I sent. He said, I'll send these to Ginger, see what he thinks, And he said, yeah, you got the gig. And the next thing you know, we've got an itinerary come through the post, and, we're off to Austria next month, And we've done quite a lot of tours with Ginger,
With Ginger, wow.
Yeah.
That happened fast. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. We'll talk about how it was touring and playing with Ginger.
Oh dear.
Put you on the spot.
Very strange. Well, we got to the airport in Austria, and we had a guy pick us up in a van, tour bus thing, small one. And this Ginger, we were sitting in there, and then all of a sudden Ginger comes in. No, didn't speak a word, just sat in there. Yeah. And we thought, we'll all look at each other. He's going to say something, And I know he was fiery, I know he could be up, you had to be careful.
Yeah.
So we're going over this place in Austria, and it's all like hills and things, and it's mountain section. And I could see Ginger was getting annoyed. And all of a sudden, he just erupted. He said, stop the van, stop it. So, I thought, what's up? What's going on? So he's got out the van. He's got hold of the guy in the van. And he's pulled him out. And he said, don't drive like that over these mountains. Get in the back. And he started driving. So, we thought, oh, what's going on here, Anyway, we got to the venue, which was a beautiful venue. It was on like an old castle on the top of a mountain.
Oh wow!
And it had there was quite a few bands on it. And it was packed. It was. I thought, wow, this is fantastic. Yeah. But I said to Roy, the manager, I said, what are we doing? We haven't had a rehearsal. What are we playing?
Uh-huh.
I don't worry about that. It'll all be sorted out. I said, but we're on in about 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. We don't know what songs we're doing. I've hardly spoken to Ginger. Yeah. He was off. He shot off with, drinking somewhere. And he come back and he was like, well, he was well gone, well slaughtered. Been drinking wine and all that. So I thought, I don't understand this. I was a bit. I couldn't believe what was happening. I thought, this guy is like a hero of mine, Cream, Ginger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were the ultimate, let alone having to play with him.
Yeah.
I never in 1,000 years would have thought,
Yeah.
So we had to go on stage, and we had a little talk, and he was quite out of it. I don't know if we taking or what, I don't know, but he said, do you know any Graham Bond stuff? So I said, yeah, I do, as it happens. I said, because I've got the albums. I said, I've got Bond Between Us and Sound of 65. I've got them. I said,
oh, Sound of
I
65.
really liked them albums. I've got them, you know, and I knew them. I knew some of the songs. So he said, well, if you know this certain song we played, we start off it. And he was talking about, going on about Lord of the Rings all the time. J.R. Tolkien, about, you know, the Hobbits and all this. And I'm going, he said, what I'll do, I'll talk first at the beginning about Lord of the Rings, and then I'll do ba-dum, 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 and you'll come in.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is strange, you know. And I said, what are we going to do after that then? What are we going to do? You know, well, jam.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, anyway, me and Ian, as we've been playing together, we knew, you know, we could kind of, we knew we were, you know, I had to show him a few things because he wasn't too sure of the Graham Bond stuff, but I showed him and, you know, he got it all right. So we went on and Ginger was talking about his Lord of the Rings thing. And he goes, oh, bro, and we all come in. And then it went on from there, you know. It was a bit out of it, and we got through it, but
that was before Lord of the Rings was popular, really. I mean,
it was, before the film and all that. It was before. He had the books and all that he was talking about. He said, "Do you know about them?" And I said, "Not a lot." I said, "I know of it, but I don't know."
Yeah, I've heard stories of his drinking, and one guy that I talked to, they played in support of Cream, and he said he was backstage and he just marveled at how Ginger even made it up the stairs and set on the drum kit. I mean, he was bumping into people and things like that.
He wasn't all like that. I tell you what, when you got to know him a little bit, he was quite funny. He was quite a funny guy, but he had his moods, you know, and I think that was down to what he took, I think. But incredible musician.
Oh yeah, no denial.
Oh, and it was funny because the next day he said to us, he apologised. He said, "I'm really sorry about how I was," and we went, "Okay, you know." He said, "Tonight is going to be different," and it was. He sat down and decided what songs we're going to do. A lot of it was Cream stuff.
Yeah.
And he said that we're going to do jamming into this and this and that, you know. And I thought, oh, this is good. It's coming together, you know. And and it was the next gig we done. It was a blinder. And he's playing. It's just unbelievable, you know. I mean, he was so good.
Yeah.
And his timing, he's a master of time.
Oh yes, definitely.
You know,
yes,
it's just like,
impeccable.
Same as his son, Kofi.
That leads to my next question about working with Kofi and Karizma.
Yeah, Kofi. What happened after we'd done the tour and all that? We'd done about 3 or 4 tours. We'd done quite a few tours with Ginger, and then we was going to go do a tour with him in the States, but that never happened. I don't know. I was told that they was going to use a couple of Stevie Wonder's guys, musicians or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, we didn't do it, and I think it got cancelled in the end. I'm not sure, but but then I met Kofi again through Andy Chard, you know, because he knew Ginger's family more than I did. You know, I didn't really know that family at that time, and I used to go. We met up and we had a few jams, and I thought, wow, this guy's it's just like he's dead. He's so young, but it's so good, absolutely, brilliant, you know. And we spent a lot of time, me and my wife and Krasnit. You know, we had the band Karizma, and we used to rehearse a hell of a lot. We used to do a lot of recording. I've got a lot of recording stuff, which I've still got, and I'm going to kind of remaster that and maybe put that out. It's it was great stuff we was doing. And yeah, so I got to know. Kofi used to in his mum's house. He used to have at the top of the house. He used to have this room where he had all his like practice kit, and I used to practice every single day, hours and hours and hours on him. Yeah, so it was so good. That's it. And yeah, so yeah, we got to know, became good friends, you know, and I met all his family, and all his family all became good friends, and that was the thing with Karizma, really, you know. That went on for quite a while, and then Kofi decided to make a move to America, where she is now. He lives in America.
Yes.
So you know, he's got a lot of work. He's got his Sons of Cream, which he's doing as well.
Oh, okay.
Malcolm, you know, with Malcolm Jackson, you know.
Okay.
So they're out doing gigs, and he's doing a lot of other things he does in America with like different projects, you know, with bands. He's got, but yeah, he's a great musician. You know? Yeah.
Well, that's something to be said about having a father, you know, who was a drummer as well, just like Jason Bonham and, you know, John. You know, so
very much. But he's just like his dad. But, his dad didn't really, from what he told me, he didn't teach him much.
Yeah.
He was just dedicated, so dedicated.
And disciplined and dedicated. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Well, I want to hear your how you cultivated your friendship with John Entwistle.
Oh, John, yeah, lovely guy. Shame about what happened. Yeah, well, again, we had a band called my memory was it some time ago now. Well, what happened? What was it? No, the Needle. That was it. The Needle. The Needle. The band was a band. But what happened was in Ealing, because Ealing and Acton, I come from Acton. Like Ealing's just up the road. It's a quite happening place. That's where we used to see all these bands. You know, like I said, I see John Mayall there. I see Pink Floyd with Syd Barrett and all things like that. You know, there's a lot of venues around there. But there was a place in Ealing, and it was called the Skin Room. It was right at the back of Ealing, a little place, and it was a tailor's shop. Okay. And my good friend Buzz, he's a bit older than me, and actually if it weren't for him, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'd done, because he used to go to all these places like Speakeasy, and he had some beautiful cars. I mean, you know, he had Rolls Royce, and he had all these flash fit kind of suits and that, and he used to have all these leather suits made, you know, and stuff like that. Because at the time, all that stuff was in. You remember Roger Daltrey with a big fringe jacket?
Yes.
That was all made in the Skin Room by Connie and Kenny Wyatt.
Right? Really? Okay.
Yeah, they were two. They had their little shop in, and they used to do all those musicians, all them ones you see in the 70s now, with all that flamboyant leather stuff, and they used to make all John stuff.
Okay.
And John used to live in Acton, and I used to see him quite a lot. I didn't know him at the time. Before all this, he used to go up to a place in his park, and he used to walk his wolfhounds. He had these Irish wolfhound dogs. Oh. And I used to take my dog up there, you know, and I got to know him a little bit. I didn't know him that much. And then through my mate Buzz, he got all his stuff made, you know, through Kenny and Connie. And I got to know Kenny and Connie, and they were lovely people, and his daughter as well, Karen. And sometimes I was up there, and they used to go around. Kenny was John's chauffeur.
Oh, okay.
John never drove. He had all these cars, he never drove. So I got to know John through Kenny and Buzz, my mate Buzz, and I became a really good friend. And then Connie managed the Needle, and I got to know John very well. And we used to go around his house, the place in Ealing, with his first wife, Alison. Yeah. We used to go around there regular, and he had a bar in the house. We used to be drinking in there.
Yeah. well, you know, John to me seemed like of the other members in the Who, the more sane, level-headed one.
Yeah, he was a lovely guy, and he was very good to me. Very good to me, and he helped us out. And he used to come and see us, and he said, I need to get you some better equipment, you know. So at the time, the Who was they owned, or part owned, I'm not sure, Shepperton Studios, the film studios, and they had a company called ML, which they had all the big truckings, you know, for doing tours and all that. And so John said, come down to Shepperton a certain date. I'll meet you there. I want to sort this out. So he got us all these high watt amps and cabs, you know, stacks. Me and Smithy, the guy Smith Campbell was the bass player in the Needle, and Ken was the drummer at Clear Blue Sky. And he said, well, you need some bigger stuff, some better equipment. So he got us all this high watt equipment, you know, which was beautiful equipment. And he said, I'm off to America soon on a tour. And he said, because we're talking about guitars and that. And I said, yeah, you know. He said, what guitar? Because at the time I was playing Telecasters and stuff like that. I still playing Strats as well. But I said, yeah, I'd like a really nice American Strat. And he brought me one back. He brought me back a 65 Strat, yeah, Sunburst Strat. And he bought Smith, he bought him a Kramer bass, you know.
Wow. Do you still have that? Do you still have that Strat?
No, I'll tell you what happened. I had it for a long, long time, quite a few years. And then later on, as the years went by, John got divorced, and he was selling a lot of his, because he had a massive collection of really expensive guitars. Because we used to go up to he had a mansion in Stow-on-the-Wold, beautiful place. And some of the equipment he had up there, the guitars, were worth a fortune. And he sold a lot of those. And then I got a call from him, and he said, have you still got a Strat? I said, yeah, because every time I said, how much is it? And he said, no, don't worry about it, don't worry. It was always, no, don't worry, you know. And I thought, well, I've got to pay you something for it, you know. And anyway, he said, have you still got it? And I said, yeah. He said, I hate to say this, but I need it back. I said, okay, fine, you know. I've had it all this time. And so, but the problem was, when we'd split up with the Needle, I lost contact with Smith. He'd moved away. His wife was Irish, and he'd moved away in Ireland. I didn't know where he lived. I hadn't heard of him. And because he had one of his amps, he had this big Sun amp, which John gave him as well, you know, and he wanted that back as well. And I said to John, I don't know where he is. I said, I'm really sorry. He said, no, it's not your fault, you know. So I arranged with John. We went down to Shepperton, and I brought the guitar back to him, and he went, here you go. And he gave me and Max, my wife, he says, here's some backstage passes for Wembley. And and then we went backstage. We watched the concert, and that's when he had Simon Phillips playing, and they were brilliant. And afterwards, you know, he said, come and have a drink, and we had a good chat and all the rest. And he was just a lovely guy. Of course, he said, right, we need to do some recording. So I've done some recording with him. Yeah. And he came up on gigs, started playing with us on gigs. He didn't have to do that. He was just a nice guy.
Yeah.
But one of the things I really found was very nice of him, because I was a big fan of Joe Walsh, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was mad on Joe Walsh when, you know, his solo stuff, Barnstorm and the James thing, you know. I love Joe Walsh playing that. Yeah. And he said, I'm doing a solo album. They had a studio, The Who, in Battersea. So he said, what are you doing next week? I said, well, what day? And he said, well, every day it was, you know. And he said, right, he said, come and meet Joe. And I said, what?
Yeah.
No, he drove us down. Well, he did. Kenny drove us down there.
Right.
And he had a Cherokee Jeep thing at the time, so we all got in there and went down there. And sure enough, went in the studio, and there was Joe Walsh.
That's got to be something, before you go on, about like an idol that you have, or somebody that you really look up to. You think, I'll never meet them, and then it happens.
Joe Walsh was great. He was great. Yeah. And I was having a good chat with him, and because I was hoping to meet Joe Vitale as well, his drummer, because I liked his drumming.
Oh yeah.
But he'd already gone back. But John, when John done the album, finished the album, he gave me the album of it, and I took the Joe Walsh album down there, and he signed it for me, which I've still got. Joe signed it. I've got that, and John signed his Too Late the Hero album when it was finished.
Oh,
He was
okay.
very good. He was I really liked John. He was a
Yeah.
lovely guy, you know, great musician. What a
Yeah.
bass player. Oh,
Yeah. I remember his solo album, Whistle Rhymes.
yeah,
Do
yeah,
you
that
remember
was
that one? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's one.
Was that Rigor Mortis, was it? Or was it? I'm not sure. He had his band Rigor Mortis as well, didn't he?
Yeah, that was just his solo, John Entwistle,
Yeah, I've
Whistle
only
Rhymes.
done a few of them. I haven't got that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
get that.
yeah, it's a nice. And then,
Yeah.
well,
So when I saw him a few times after all that, you know, and then next thing I know, in the papers, he died. You know.
yeah,
But, yeah, shame.
yeah.
He was one of the innovators, really, of bass playing. He was doing all that stuff long before.
Oh yes. Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
His bass playing really carries a lot of the Who's material.
oh,
If you think about it, you know, if you go back and listen to it, yeah.
the amount of gear he used to use for his bass. I mean, it's just speakers and amps, you know. No wonder Townsend went deaf. I mean,
right.
yeah, but no,
Yeah.
but he was well advanced in his bass playing. But he played French horn and things like that as well.
Oh,
You
did
know?
he?
Yeah, he done an album with
I didn't know
the
that.
Welsh Choir or something, or something like that, and he produced it and played on it. Yeah, he's very talented guy. You know?
Yeah. Wow.
You know, his bass playing was just unreal.
Well, who was Bernie Torme, and how did you work together?
Bernie Torme, he was in. You remember Gillan now, Deep Purple?
Oh yes,
Ian
yes,
Gillan, yeah. Well, Bernie was in Ian Gillan's band, and we got called up to do a tour with him in England. Well, another one, Bernie was probably the loudest guitarist I've ever heard.
Oh,
God,
was he?
he's
Yeah.
loud. Yeah. Great guitarist, brilliant, but such a lovely guy, very gentle, caring guy. Anyway, we done a tour with him all over England, and we got pretty well known, you know, good friends, you know. And then after we done the tour, because we used to rehearse in a place where I used to live, it's called Ram Studios. We used to rehearse in there a lot, and we was up there one night, and I thought, cool, that sounds familiar. Who's that next door? It was about and it was Bernie. It was Bernie, and so we knocked on the door, and you know, oh yeah, what are you doing here? He said, oh, I rehearsed it sometimes. I said, oh, all right, so do we. You know. Anyway, we became fairly good friends. You know, not close friends, but we knew each other, and we were really, you know, respected each other in a way. You know, and this. We done, as I say, we done quite a lot of gigs with him and met up a few times with him. But then he done this album, right? And it's at the time, did you know Pledge Music? Have you heard of that?
No, that doesn't ring a bell. No.
I think it started off with Marillion or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was like the fans sponsor their album, you know?
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
This company's called Pledge, and you pay all the money into Pledge. And that helps the band do their album, you know.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I spoke to Bernie, and because I went and bought a guitar, I bought a guitar which was advertised, and it was really strange because it was in Kent, which is, you know, quite a drive from where I am, and I went to this place and I got lost because it was a little bit in the countryside, and I had the phone number of this guy who had the guitar, and he said. I said, I don't know where I am. I'm lost. He said, where are you? I said, well, there's a pub over the road. And it's called, so he said, oh, I know where you are. Stay there and I'll come and meet you. So he drove up and I followed him. And a good job he did come, so I never found it. I was going all down this like country lane. We come into this place. It was like an old host house, you know.
Oh, okay.
You know, with the big things that to do with farming and all that. But yeah, there was two little cottages. And this guy. She'd come in and he had the guitar there with a few others as well. And got talking to him. He was a nice guy. And I bought the guitar. And then I said, oh, it's a really lovely place. He said, yeah, Bernie Torme owns it. I said, really? I said, I know Bernie. I know him well.
Yeah.
He said, well, you better come and meet him then. He lives in the next cottage.
Okay.
And I said, "You're joking." He said, "No." Anyway, he just went, he said, "Come with me." He knocked on the door, Bernie opened it, and he couldn't believe it. He said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "What are you doing here?" You know, "I live here." He said, "I live here."
Yeah.
Wow, can't believe it. What a weird experience, you know.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, after that, he was doing this album through Pledge, and we got the chance to go on it, me and Max. And he was on YouTube. Was it YouTube or Facebook? I can't remember. But he was going through it all, saying, "Yeah, I'm in the studio now, putting this track down." And then he had this really horrible cold. He said, "I don't feel well." He was coughing and all that, you know, and sneezing, and he really didn't sound right, you know. And then about 3 or 4 days later, they said he's in hospital. He's on a ventilator.
Mm.
And I thought, "Oh dear." And it went on for a week or two, and the next thing you know, he died. But the worst thing about it was all the money, and Bernie had sold a lot of his memorabilia, like his tour jackets, some guitars, etc., T-shirts, and all this to pay for this. And they lost all the money. They went bankrupt.
They went bankrupt. Wow.
Yeah, he lost all that money. It cost him a lot of money, and yeah, that was it. Which is really sad. Let alone
That's a
losing.
sad story. That's a sad story.
Yeah.
Well,
But he was a lovely guy. He was such a gentleman.
yeah, I looked it up doing the research, and he's not, for any of those out there watching that are curious, he's not related to Mel Torme. No, he's not in any way in any way related.
I mean, Mel Torme was the American, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know there's Irish American, but
yeah,
you know, Bernie was Irish. You know, he was Irish. So,
right.
yeah,
Well,
very gentle soul, lovely guy.
yeah. Well, one more I want to hear about before we talk about the later, you know, Clear Blue Sky material is, let me see if I pronounce this right. David Hendry's Ohead or
Ohead, yeah. I do a lot of work with that with David. He's another guy. He's a bit of a genius. he's a keyboard wizard. It was Max who found him saw what he was doing on what was the one before Facebook? I can't think it was called now. There was some advertisement thing, and he used to put a lot of his stuff up on there. And I said, "God, this guy's really good."
Oh, what's it? MySpace?
MySpace, that's the one.
Yeah.
He was on there.
Yeah.
And I said, "This guy's really good." And at the time, Max was working for a record label, you know. And anyway, we got in touch with him, and he put out his own stuff, you know. And at the time, Max was doing some distribution and all that with people. And that's how we kind of got involved with him, you know. And then on his other albums, he asked me to, would I play on them, you know. So I said, yeah. I started to doing quite a bit of his albums, and he's great. He's a bit, do you know the Osricks? You know the Osric Tentacles, have you heard them?
Yes, I do. Yes.
He's similar to that kind of thing. It's all his original stuff, but he's very clever. I love his music, and so I've done about 3 or 4 albums.
Okay.
You know, with me on it. You know, they're all his songs, but the guitar is mostly what I do. He's working on a new one now. He's just done 2 last year, and I'm on both of them. This new one he's doing, he's bought some new keyboards, so he's experimented with them. So I haven't done anything on them yet. I've done one track. Yeah, but there's more to come with that as well.
Okay.
And I've just finished a load of stuff for Census as well.
Okay.
I've done an album with them. I've done about 3 or 4 albums for them, maybe more than that, quite a bit actually. And I'm working on my new light trails on them.
Okay, still working on that. Okay, well, real quickly, which of the later releases, Clear Blue Sky, are you most happy with?
I liked the ones I really liked was the last Gateway to the Seventh Dimension.
Okay,
it's the one that I really, really liked because it was Krasnet at the bass player. Because we was all at them time we was always using analog stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, we've got to go digital and all this," you know. I said, I was against it at first, you know, being old school, you know. And, anyway, he got into it. He's clever. You know, anything technical like that, he's good. So we tried it out, and I said, well, this ain't too bad, you know. And as it went on, he got better equipment, you know, better computer stuff and all that, and the sound was getting better, and you know, and yeah, we spent a long time doing that, quite a time, because he's like a perfectionist, you know, and it went on for quite a while, but it was, I wouldn't change anything on it. It was exactly how I wanted it.
Oh, how you envisioned it?
It just all came. It was just a lot of thought went into it, and a lot of playing, and it's my favourite album. And then we done one after that, which was done very quickly. Don't Mention Rock and Roll. And another guy, a friend of ours, a very close friend, Lee Limerick. He's really, really good. He's got a great voice, and he's a great guitarist as well. So we done that at his studio, and we got a drummer. Ken wasn't with us. We got this drummer, Tom Space. He's a German guy. He's a brilliant drummer. He came over, and we went in the studio, and I had about 3 songs. That's all I had. It wasn't really going to do an album. It was just like, so let's put stuff down. He's over here meeting up with us. Let's do this, you know. So we went in and done it, and it was really working. And so I wrote about, believe it or not, I wrote, when I was having something to eat, they went out and had because it was a really hot summer's day, I sat in the studio and I started knocking up these ideas. I said, when they come back. So I wrote most of the stuff on the spur of the moment. It worked. It was quite hard. A lot of it was quite heavy. Not real heavy, you know, but powerful. And there's some. I like a lot of light and shade. You know, I don't like just banging in your face. I like you know, a bit of light and shade, colour, and you know that. And it came out really good. I really like that album. I can send you. I can send you some files if you want.
Hey, now this is what I tell people. Now you see my real motivation, you know, and during these interviews to try to get CDs and albums from you guys, right?
Yeah, I can see so. No, it's not a problem. Yeah, but yeah, no, they. I was very pleased with those two, and I'm very pleased with my Light Trail stuff. You know,
okay,
because that's something I again, because although I'm a guitar player, I love keyboards and synths.
Yeah,
and I didn't at the time, you know. It was very expensive years ago, and there weren't that many synths around and stuff like that, apart from Moog and all these other ones. And I'm not a keyboard player, but I know what I want. I can do it, you know, I can work it out and do it. And because of the technology's gone up now, and I've got the sounds I want. I just wanted to do my own stuff with Light Trails.
Right. So, yeah, the early Moog and those kind of they were kind of cringy sounding, you know, those the early ones. But the technology, like you said, has come so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays you can get a plug-in, you can get anything on it, you know. They sound so good. But yeah, but I always play it. I don't just sample something. I mean, I'll have that. I have to play it because I want it to come out what's in my head, you know.
Right.
so
yeah.
Well, I really enjoy it, and I'm pleased with the first 2 albums. So.
Yeah. Well, one thing I did notice from Cosmic Crusader. In doing the research, you self-recorded. That was the first time, and that you had purchased Talks.
Echo 12-track analog.
Right. Now that's one of my favorite bands of all time.
Oh, they're great. I love Talk. Yeah. We didn't meet them. We got it from it's some company who sells all that equipment. Don Larkin Audio. That was it. Yeah. And he had it up for sale. I didn't know it was theirs at the time until we got there and he told us it was. But yeah, we'd done a few albums with that, and that was that come out pretty good. You know, considering it was only 12 tracks, so we could use. You know, we could bounce a few, but it wasn't. But Mirror the Stars after that I thought was a better album.
Okay.
I'm quite pleased with that one. Again, it was. We didn't have like 24 tracks and stuff like that. Like, it's still. I mean, but now with digital, you've got as many tracks as you want. You know.
Right.
You know?
Isn't that something?
I try not to go over too many tracks if I can. I try to keep it fairly basic.
Yeah.
As long as it sounds good, and that's the main thing.
That's the main thing. Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk briefly about your own outfit, Light Trails.
Yeah.
More in the space rock vein. Would that be accurate?
Not really. No, there is a lot of synth sound on it, a bit spacey, you know,
Okay.
and no heads on some of it as well. But I like experimentation with the guitars. I like the sounds, and some of it's all different colors, light and shade. Some of it's powerful, some of it's is melodic, and that's what I like to do. I like to see. I kind of like to do the synths. I like to have feeling, and I think having synths and keyboards can do that. Where you can't always do that on a guitar. You can do certain things, but keyboards and piano and it create moods for me. You know?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
You
You know, it gives
it.
it gives it a layered effect. You know,
Yeah,
and the thing is that I like you said, the light shade kind of having a nice balance between.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm working on the new one. Oed's going to be on it, I think. I think Kofi's going to be on it.
Well, go ahead and plug that. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, he said he was going to do it, so I've got a few other people who might want to come on it. I haven't, as I say, I think I'm on the 5th or 6th track at the moment. They're not finished, but you know, the actual basis of it is down. So I've got a few other guys I'm thinking of putting on it. But I'll have to wait and see how they come out. I'm not sure yet. So
when do you think it might be? Have an idea it might be finished, or too early?
We're in what we now. We're in July coming up now. Coming up to July. I'd hope to get it finished before the end of the year, but if not, it might creep into next year. I don't know. But I'm in no rush. You know, because I can do it any time I want. It's not like booking a studio. I can just do it.
Right.
You know.
That's the good thing about today. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I've got a really nice drummer on it as well. Lee's going to be on it. Lee Limerick.
Okay.
He's great. And his friend who's a drummer, Vincent. He's a great drummer. He's done a couple of tracks for me. So yeah, it should be interesting. I'm pretty excited about it. So.
Okay, and still working with Census and.
Always working with Census. John, you know, I've got these songs. I said, what is it? You know, well, I said, can you do this one? Yeah, all right, Tim. Yeah, there's no rush, whenever you want. So you do that. It's well, I've got some more, and it ends up being about 10. But the thing is, he's very creative, and some of his stuff is really off the wall. It's interesting. I don't like just sticking to one thing. You know, I like doing different things.
Yeah,
it sounds like,
well, that's good that you can branch out like that too.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see things, I do things how I want them done, and if people like it, they like it, and if they don't like it, they don't like it. You can't please everyone.
No, you can't.
So I've always come up with the philosophy that if you do what you want, exactly. If I think it's okay, that's good enough for me. You know?
That's right.
I'm not looking at thinking, oh, you know, I hope everyone likes this.
No, you have to like it yourself first. That's
it. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. Well, I want to thank you, John, for doing this. I was almost going to say thank you, Max.
Yeah.
You know, that's
but it's great to meet you. And
but do thank Max for helping set this up too. You know.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah. It's great. And you have a nice weekend. And
yes, I will. And you have a good, nice rest of your weekend. And
well, it's too hot to record. I wanted to do. I was going to work it on a track, but since the computer melted, I don't want to start it up. You know.
Oh no!
The whole screen just fell out. It's just,
that is so. Yeah, just for being from the heat. Yeah.
Yeah, for the heat.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope it cools down too for you there. I hope this is not an extended heat.
I think it's going to be like this for next week. I think, but
Oh, is
I
it?
mean,
Okay.
I'm not moaning about it because you know we don't get a lot of great weather, so you know
Right.
enjoy it while we can. You
Right. Any rain in the forecast?
know, English weather has always got rain. And the weather
Okay.
forecast is never right. Someone says, "Oh,
No.
it's going to be rain," and it doesn't. You know, but
Yeah,
we
yeah.
always get rain. We always come.
Right. Well,
I
that's
don't.
what they say about Texas too, is if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. That's what they say
Oh,
here.
yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
about Texas. You got some great blues bands out there. Oh,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
got some. We also got Clear Blue Sky Radio.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we do that. That's yeah. If you look on that, look up the Clear Blue Sky Radio.
Okay.
We've got programs going out all the time.
Okay.
And one of our presenters, James Moody, his knowledge of blues,
Yeah.
especially Texas and all that lot.
Yes. Yes.
He's got his own program on our radio show.
Oh, James. Yeah.
Some of the stuff he does a lot of Canadian stuff. I don't know where he gets his knowledge from, but he's got some great music he plays, you know, and he's mad on Texas stuff, you know, loves all that, you know, Neville Rollins and all that. You know,
Right.
I love it, you know, I love all that stuff. Music, pop, but there's so many bands in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big state. It's a big state. Hey, did you know that I didn't know this until just probably 6 months ago, that Texas is bigger than the UK?
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm telling you. Yeah. Go look at it. Just when you get your computer.
I bet you can go to any bar and see a great band, can't you, in Texas?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's so.
Where is it? Have you heard Dumpster Funk? Have you heard them?
No, I haven't. No, I
Yeah, they're
haven't.
part of the Neville Brothers family. They're really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
check them out. They're not good.
I'll check them out. All right. Well, I've really enjoyed it,
Yeah, if
John.
there's anything you need,
Okay.
email us to something, and I'll get Max to send you some files if you need anything. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll send you my email. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
And I want to again thank you for your time and for sharing all those stories too. Yeah. All right. Well, stay cool if you
say
can.
hello to your wife as well.
Oh, I will. I will.
All right.
All right. Well, bye-bye for now.
Blessings from England.
All the best. All the best.
Bye.
Bye-bye.